afternoon. Again, my name is Jim D'Antoni, Director of National Sales for Dish Media. We specialize in data-driven solutions for marketers. We specialize most specifically in addressable advertising, and when we sell addressable advertising, we sell it across both Dish and Sling. We do own and operate Sling TV, which has a best-in-class programmatic solution, and we have great first-party deterministic data that helps with reach solutions and much more. But enough about me. We're joined here with a great panel. We have 4 sports media all-stars here. So why don't we start with some intros? Why don't we go around the horn, and if you could each introduce yourselves, that'd be great. Why don't we start with Paolo?
Thank you, Jim. Hi, everyone. Nice being with you today. I'm Paolo Provinciali. I'm the head of U.S. media here at Anheuser-Busch. And as a result of that, I'm very much involved in everything Super Bowl. This is my 3rd Super Bowl in this role, and it's always exciting. I'm glad to be with you today and talking about all the aspects of it.
Terrific. Dave?
Dave Bolger. I lead media planning and buying for the NFL, and this is wrapping up season 2 here at the league. And a pleasure to be here with everybody.
Great. Pat?
Hey, Pat LaCroix at Bose. Kind of work in our marketing group, overseeing our media, our social, our partnerships, our community relations, amongst other things. This technically would be my 7th Super Bowl. First one, though, from current settings. So good to be here with you.
All right. And Jim?
Jim McCoy. I lead all the sports marketing at Nationwide, and this is my 17th year at Nationwide and 7th as an official sponsor of the NFL, and excited to talk a little bit about our activation this week.
Awesome. Yeah, so today we're going to be covering Super Bowl ads and activation strategies, media and measurement. So there's so many different directions we can go in this. It's awesome. I mean, it just shows you the power and diversity of working with the NFL, and particularly in and around the Super Bowl window. So we're going to start with some of the pros and cons. And I really want to focus on the pros of either. Do you air?
There are no cons. There are no cons. It's only pros.
There's no bias there, but of course. And we have two marketers who have a spot in the game, and 2 marketers who are not, but are surrounding their platforms in and around the game and all the activity and excitement around the Super Bowl. So why don't we start with the 2 that have units in the game? Paolo, I know AB is not airing a Budweiser commercial for the first time in many years, but you still have 4 minutes of national time, I think a minute of regional time. Just tell us some of the pros you get out of airing a spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Super Bowl is the biggest stage in the U.S. from a media standpoint, and probably in the world. And it's the only event that you think of that people tune in also for the ads, right? So you have undivided attention, and it becomes an ultimate stage for both, the media, the message, the creativity that the company and the brands can bring to the table. But obviously, being such a large stage, also you have the high pressure and the success are immense, and the mistakes are noticeable for sure. And so, as you said, we have a lot of time in game. Actually, it's going to be even more than 4 minutes, 4:45 this coming Sunday, and with that, and when a company that has a tradition of being in Super Bowl for decades, right, the pressure is dialed up to the max. But we take this opportunity to actually, again, bring forward our brands, our message, bring our A game to the table. And it's a testament of the fact that, it's such a tentpole moment for the entire country that you can make as much noise by being there and putting forward your brand message, and not being there, right? As you just noticed, Budweiser is not going to be in the Super Bowl for the first time in 37 years, but many other brands are going to be for us, and therefore it's just a matter of going back to kind of what this moment represents for the entire country, for the sports, for the communities and everything, and figuring out what role your brand can play in that space, and creating that connection with people, with culture, and where your brand's role they play in society. That is the key, and that is the biggest advantage of being part of this great event.
Excellent. Dave, again, I'm sure you have a little bias in the best sense of the phrase, but love to hear your take in terms of the power of airing a Super Bowl unit.
Yeah, well, if I take, I mean, obviously it's unparalleled and it's the greatest thing ever. And the rates that CBS were charging this year were a steal. And if you didn't get in, you missed the deal of a lifetime, clearly. But if I take my NFL hat off and put my media planner hat on, I'm a media planner at heart. I think two key things stand out for me. One is there's reams of psychological research that proves that shared experiences are something we crave and need as a society. And that's even more so true now, given the world we all live in. And in the world of media, there aren't that many places left where an audience can have a shared experience. The NFL is a place where we do that on a weekly basis, and the culmination of that is the largest event with the Super Bowl. So I think that they're still critically important just from society perspective. And then, there's still a major need to deliver reach as pure kind of reach frequency, sort of media planning, 101. This is still the best place to drive mass reach, and there's immense value in that still. And I think I just saw, it was an article, I think Forrester released an article today talking about literally this topic, which is, in fact, it's a deal. The premium that people are paying, given the size of the audience and the reach we're able to drive with something like the Super Bowl, actually is a good deal.
Great insight. Appreciate that. So let's flip that. We have two powerful NFL officials on the panel who aren't airing in the game, but they build their platforms in and around and leading into the Super Bowl, and have a lot of activity. So I'd love to hear from you, Jim, first. Just the pros of using the Super Bowl even though you're not in the game, and your NFL IP as well, obviously.
Yeah, we've run spots over throughout my career during the Super Bowl. More recently, as an official sponsor, we made the choice to spread those dollars across our activation window. So our big platform is the Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, and really highlighting the great work these guys are doing on the field, but more importantly, what they're doing in their community. And be able to kind of launch in December, leading all through playoffs and right up to the Super Bowl has been a great formula for us to reach the audiences in a different way and more personal level, tell these guys stories and all the great work that's going on that may not translate, in a 30-second spot during a moment that everybody's, there to celebrate and have fun. So, it's been a shift for us, but something that we've been really pleased, kind of the results that we've seen, from that broader investment.
Excellent. And Pat, love to get your perspective.
Well, yeah, first, I might just a little fact check. It's not that Bose isn't going to be actually in the game. I think if you look at Coach Reed and staff and Coach Arians and staff, I think I know what brand you might see. And also we have some player partners. This other guy named Pat on the Chiefs, I hear is pretty popular. So we'll be there, just not necessarily in the linear broadcast form as we know it in advertising time. But again, taking my Bose hat off, everything everyone said, I mean, in terms of there's, I think as Dave mentioned, if you talk about just pure reach and frequency and efficiency and efficacy, I mean, there's nothing like the Super Bowl in terms of where so many people actually say, yeah, I want to engage and watch and consume advertising. It doesn't really happen at any other point in time, period. So for those folks that are advertising in the game, so to speak, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to do that. But as I think Paolo said, I mean, the bar is so high in terms of the level of creativity and entertainment and just inspiration for those brands to deliver.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong either way, and it is a window like no other, as we all know. And speaking of like no other, this has been a year like no other for all of us as a society, but certainly it's been a year like no other for the NFL and its partners. And I'm sure there's a difference in the way you went about it. Obviously, there's no official on-site activation. So, you're probably depending on, social outlets, video outlets, the content, more content. And some of the pre-conversations I heard, you're building up towards that, and the tone of that content. And it's got to be a different approach. I'd love to hear from each of you, but why don't we start with Pat on that? I know you've been focusing in on like the home viewing experience this year, and I'd love to hear and I'd love to have you share a little information on Sound Sanctuary. Sounds like a great initiative, and just whatever else you want to cover.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks, Jim. Yeah, so overarchingly, I mean, as always, we're trying to follow fan consumer behavior, and with everything with COVID this past year, people being at home and us having a pretty sizable business servicing folks with their home audio needs and solutions. That's where a lot of our focus has been, which is a nice, easy fit with the NFL and the fan experience with the NFL, given that TV watching is so paramount with it all. And yeah, for the Super Bowl in particularly, we're definitely focusing on that to help give people a better a listening experience at home to watch the game. And with Sound Sanctuary, it's a great program we've been running for quite a few years now, kind of giving people in need or in deservance of kind of a better sound solution. So what we've done is we actually partnered up with each of the 32 clubs and kind of identified folks in the community, healthcare heroes, most notably frontline responders, and are giving them kind of an upgrade for their home viewing experience with Bose sound bars and other nice assets and prizes in and around the Super Bowl, is just kind of give them a little bit of a reward and just a small dose of celebration in what's obviously been a year like none other, and a tough one for so many.
Awesome. All right, Dave, love to hear. Again, the NFL has traditionally run spots in halftime. It sounds like this year you're going to run a spot in pregame and halftime. Love to hear more about the pregame spot and anything else you want to add to that surrounding that.
Yeah, well, we starting last year, we had done a great job. Tim and Glenn, who we just heard from, and Julie Haddon and the team behind the driving force behind a lot of our creative, last year did an amazing job of creating this moment of culminating in our 100th season and looking toward the future in a pregame spot that ended, onto the field and kind of an entrance into the game. And so similar approach this year in terms of a spot airing in pregame. But again, to your point about what's been going on in this country and around the world, we recognize at the NFL the role we play as a cultural entity, as one of the biggest cultural entities in the country, and in many ways driving culture, and we take that role very seriously. So what you'll see this year is a spot that is aims to be inspiring and aims to be a bit unifying, and recognizing all that's gone on over the course of the last year, and you'll see bringing a name from the past, and two teams will be battling for the Lombardi Trophy. We're bringing back Coach Lombardi with some cutting edge technology, and who better than he to deliver that sort of inspiring message. So you'll see a little bit of that. And then Tim and Glenn talked a bit before about some of the social justice work that we've been doing. We'll air a spot actually in the third quarter, I think, a continuation of the social justice work we have. And really the message there is the season's ending, but the work we do and our players do in the world of social justice is not ending, and will continue.
Excellent. Thank you. Paolo, I read a stat this morning that 7 out of 10 Americans think more favorably of AB InBev since seeing the creative you put together about not airing Budweiser in the campaign. I thought that was terrific, and you're getting a lot of great reaction. I mean, all the metrics and the emotional attachment. So I'd love to just hear a little bit more about that. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that, a decision like that, first and foremost, comes looking at our entire portfolio and our entire commercial strategy, and then really thinking about how we can use, this moment in time in order to, do what's best for our brands, but also, be relevant in the moment. And when it came to this year, we made choices about some brands are going to be in Super Bowl and some other brands that actually, weren't going to be in Super Bowl. And Budweiser is one of them, which is a big break from the past, right? First time in 37 years. But the formula that applies here that I think it doesn't make it necessarily as big an exception as you might think is the fact that at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is reframing ourselves a little bit. First of all, it's about talking to people, not consumers, and then thinking about what people care about and what they need. And, what is the need that they might need? It's comfort, the comedic relief, right? The sense of belonging, and then how your brand can play a role in that space. And for everything that Budweiser represents, we came to the conclusion that actually it was a big statement to be made, but a statement that could have resonated that would resonate with people, and a very important space for the brand to play in. And therefore, when you apply this formula, you think about people, you try to establish that human connection, then this is situations where home runs like this happen, and Budweiser's reception and reception to the film and the initiative and the fact that donating the investment and the efforts for vaccine awareness has really resonated with people and has shown great success. But it's, again, goes back to applying a formula that is true to all the brands in our portfolio.
Terrific, thank you. And then Jim, you guys have been enjoying, a good, a legacy of goodwill, I should say, with the Walter Payton Award. So you're already entrenched. I'm sure that sticks out even more. Was there anything different this year? Is it just amplifying it more? Love to hear that.
Yeah, I think at the core, we're going to do things differently and try to do as much as we can during the time leading up and Super Bowl week. But we continue to want to authentically connect ourselves to this platform, give the players the visibility that they deserve, and especially in a year where there's been so much strife and challenge, the social justice conversation, the difficulty for these guys to continue to get out in their communities and support and help those in need, which they still got up and on their days off and were very, very active. So the more that we can do to tell their stories throughout this time frame in a positive way is incredibly important to us. And why we're making that continued investment in partnership with the NFL, who have been fantastic, and our media partners to highlight their stories, our team partners, that have kind of changed our approach a little bit to get the message out there in an even bigger way. We're trying to do virtual experiences that do widen the net a little bit of both our agents, our customers, our partners, but even fans, getting them connectivity with these guys in this environment. So yeah, it's different, but at the core, we're still trying to prove out that more than a business message that we convey through the platform.
Excellent. All right, let's turn our focus to Super Week. We're in the home stretch here. Let's start with Jim. Your platform really launches in earnest in December and runs through the Super Bowl. So you're coming to the end. And you have NFL honors on Saturday night. And I'm sure that's a big and typically obviously that would be in person. But so how are you building now towards? Is it just tweaking social messaging? Kind of keeping your finger on the pulse of that. How are you building towards this week into the weekend?
Yeah, as I mentioned, it kicked back off in December, but it's really been building through the month of January and NFC AFC Championship weekend with our charity challenge, social platform promotion. But typically Super Bowl week, we do community events. We did a Boys and Girls Club event last year in Miami. We had to adjust. We do a big luncheon with our 32 nominees that we all bring into town with the Payton family and kind of just learning more about their stories. We do a number of PR, media row activities with 5 to 7 of our nominees, which we are doing this year in the current different form, but just giving them a platform to talk about their community efforts. But honors becomes our big crescendo for the week. Last award of the evening, which we think is the most prestigious in all the league, the Walter Payton Man of the Year, will be presented to finish the show. We have strong integration throughout. And then we'll celebrate that winner that night, and then on game day with an on-field presentation, the passing of the very heavy trophy from last year's winner to this year's winner. So it's a great way to continue to tell those stories throughout, and you'll see in honors, vignettes, other things that talk about the great work and nationwide's along for the ride and all those conversations.
Excellent. All right, Paolo. you mentioned a 360 approach that ABI takes. I'm sure that started prior to this week, but tell us about how that works and how it culminates this week.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, for us, it's not just about the day, but it's about Sunday will culminate an effort that has been going on for months in terms of preparation and in terms of activation weeks and an entire month, right? So it's leading up, but I think that the best way to look at the way we think about this moment throughout the year is similar to the to the teams that are going to play on Sunday. Just that it's the moment for us to bring the A game and to start the year strong. We leverage when we prepare a full on 360 Super Bowl campaign, we leverage everything that we have learned in the past, and because this is a kind of a unique year this year, we have to leverage everything that we have learned in terms of creating digital experiences, connecting with people in different ways, fill the need of entertainment, fill the need of connection, understanding how you can become part more of the content and not the interaction with advertisement, and then catalyze all of those efforts in a moment where all the company comes together, not just from a marketing and branding standpoint and advertising standpoint, but also all the elements of also the sales team and everyone at the national and local level. So it's a really strong start of the year for us, and it leads the way into everything that we're going to do for the remainder of the year, introducing the new products, introducing the new extensions, and therefore it's really a moment where we can energize the system and unify everyone under a common goal. But again, it's not something that gets played just in one day. It's something that gets built through the months and gets activated throughout multiple weeks.
Yeah, you mentioned that majority of your products are consumed in the summer months, but the Super Bowl kind of gets your stake in the ground and then sets the stage for the rest of the year, both for the trade as well as consumer, which is great.
That's correct.
Excellent. And then Pat, sounds like you got a busy week ahead of you. More NFL honors. I think Coach of the Year, plus a lot of brand ambassadors. I'm sure they're, it's more virtual, but Radio Row and Media Row, and you've also got your hands, potentially, on some other awards that the NFL will be giving out, or at least your association with your ambassadors. Love to hear more.
Yeah,
on that.
we're blessed and fortunate to have great partners through our NFL relationship, and we've invested quite a lot of equity built over time working with great longstanding partners, and this year we're pretty optimistic that through relationships we have, we'll have partners will be MVP, Rookie of the Year, maybe Man of the Year, and then maybe even again that guy named Pat might get another MVP award Sunday night. So we're pretty psyched for and proud of the partners we have on the player level, and then the coach is obviously a natural. So we will be doing quite a bit of content and storytelling around where some of those awards and accomplishments land this coming weekend, which is exciting.
Excellent. And then Dave, you're in the eye of the storm. This is what it's all about. But you also said that you spent a little bit more money to support the creative, to kind of amplify some of those efforts. Love to hear a little about that. It may not even all within this week, but I'm sure it's culminating this week.
Well, yeah, I think, like has been said before, the Super Bowl is the pinnacle, but like many other advertisers in the game itself, there's a role to be played before the game, during the game, and then certainly after the game as well. And for the campaigns that we're managing and supporting as part of the Super Bowl, that's true as well. We mentioned before, we did this last year as well, but we mentioned that our spot will air prior to the game. So we think that there's an opportunity for us to generate excitement and interest in what we have going on in that, especially because we believe it's an important message. And also it doesn't hurt to help drive tune in for the pregame show. So we'll do that. And then as soon as the spot airs, we want to make sure that we're capturing any and all interest that gets piqued from seeing that spot. And, I mentioned Tim and Glenn and Julie Haddon's team there always is an element in our spots that are, wait, who was that? What was that? What happened this year with the technology that's being utilized to create the spot? And then, there may be a surprise in there somewhere. Who knows? You never know. We want to be able to capture that. So working with our agencies, OMD and Tenuity, understanding what kind of behavior can we expect once someone sees the spot, so we can make sure people go consume it more and get more of the story. And that's nothing new. I think a lot of Super Bowl advertisers take that, pre, during, and post sort of approach. But then understanding what platforms are right to deliver the type of message can be important. And if you don't get it right, it can turn into a cluster for many people. But, I think, my team and the agencies we have working with us have helped figure that out.
Excellent. All right, we only have about 3-4 minutes here. But how do you measure success? Are KPIs this year different than in years past? And then how do you typically measure success? And do you tweak within campaigns, or do you tweak things beyond the campaign after? So let me start with you, Paolo, on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Being such a large and 360 activation, I think that there are many, many ways to measure success. And I think that success needs to be broken down depending on the different areas of execution and how, and what is relevant in terms of KPI. And I think that, measuring KPI, measuring success in general, it's a big question from a marketer standpoint. But I think that while we can use, obviously, the traditional methodologies that we always have from a marketing and media standpoint, right? The modeling and the surveys and the studies and everything. On that front, we can also look at the in-flight metrics. And I think that this year changes a little bit, or, actually quite dramatically, because there is so much reliance in other forms of communication, the digital mediums and everything, that you need to understand also how, early signals, when you are leaning more towards influencers, towards social filters, towards connected TV, and how all those metrics give you an early sign of what's working and what's not working, and you're able to pivot in that sense. But then, as I said, it's a 360 activation, it's a 360 campaign. So you also need to interface with your counterparts on the trade side, understanding, for example, the impact it has at a local level, at a regional level, in store, in display, in trade, and figuring out how it all comes together. And then it's not about necessarily only optimizing for the single point touch point, right? As we said, right? It's not optimizing the single streaming activation or digital activation or linear activation, if you will, but a whole how it all comes together in order to help what a company is trying to do, what a brand is trying to do, and the entire system. So it's a dual approach: short-term and long-term measurement and KPIs, but it also is specific execution versus the entire ecosystem, how it's brought forward.
Excellent. Jim, I'd love to hear your take on how Nationwide approaches that.
Yeah, just like, all of our sponsorships, we have the brand health measures, the earned exposure, all the things that we're tracking on a yearly basis against the NFL fan base and how we're doing. Super Bowl week especially, we get such a high concentration of our content engagement rates in social PR activity, just because of all the efforts with our players, that it's an important week to track and see how we're doing, year over year in those spaces. And then, the one that is taking a hit this year a little bit is our lift analysis and those that we're spending time with. And part of the reason we're with the NFL is the access that we get through the partnership, and to bring our top customers into town for a weekend and be integrated into Honors, have dinner with Peyton, go to the tailgate the next day, and kind of the impact that has coming out of the Super Bowl is a big deal. And so we pivoted to a virtual event this evening, kind of a Peyton's Places Live. So, hopefully we'll still, get that level of engagement and appreciation from our partners. But, that's a tough one that, we'll continue to work on as, everybody else is running into the same challenges. But, a little art and science, as everybody, has from a measurement standpoint.
Excellent. And then I'd love to just get Pat's take on that. It sounds like with all the potential hardware you guys are going to walk away with, the metrics are going to be good. But how do you measure?
One would hope. I mean, I know I'll be quick. I mean, for us, the Super Bowl is awesome, but our program in partnership with the NFL is truly year round. So it's yet another tentpole across the 365-day calendar of the year. So I mean, yeah, I think it's looking. I try to compare each major tentpole year over year in terms of we have it's in our DNA at Bose to always be constantly to do better and improve. So are we improving year over year? And then looking more third party, just how are we tracking in terms of sentiment, conversation, traffic, relative to benchmark. So that's kind of how we look at it.
Terrific. And then Jake, if we could just ask Dave, I don't know, Dave, if you have anything to share on measurement, and then
I'll give you an easy answer to get us back on track, Jake. As long as our sponsors are happy, then we're doing well. So as long as these guys are smiling, then we're good.
You stuck the landing on that one. Terrific. All right, guys, I appreciate everyone's time. Great insight, and best of luck with this, the weekend and the rest of the year. Back to you, Jake.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thanks for really good to see you all, and thank you for sharing. It was a great panel. Certainly loved hearing your thoughts on obviously what's going on culturally and how to use this big stage the right way. And Paolo, certainly loved hearing you thinking about how to talk to people and not consumers. I think that's a really critical thing. Love the art and science comment, right? It's kind of what we do in this business these days of linking really strategic KPIs with fantastic, beautiful creative. And certainly the Super Bowl is so important for both those things. So great to have you guys, and thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Next speaker and topic of the day, we have a really exciting